welcome back to Northwind Homestead. We're picking up where we left off in episode number 1, and now we have episode number 2. This is going to be, we're going to start assembly and some tooling and stuff. So we've got our patterns. I'm going to make this out of veg tan. This is going to be a little bit thicker veg tan. And then this, we're going to use this, gosh, I don't even know what we're going to call this here, but this black leather that I got, I'm going to use for the bodies. So actually we've got this nice straight edge here. That's from one of my last projects, so I think I'm going to use that straight edge to get my 2-inch gusset. Now 2-inch gusset, I'm going to want about 1/8 of an inch or so, or maybe 3/8 of an inch to sew on either side. So 3/4. So actually I'm going to make it about 2 3/4 thick, so I can actually have a 2-inch gusset. So when I like to cut, I use me a head knife or a round knife. I've always had good success with them. They cut like butter, as long as you keep them nice and sharp. I do my own sharpening most of the time, then every once in a while I'll bring it to a knife shop in town, and they've got, you know, they'll put a really nice edge back on it for me, and then I just maintain it. It's like $2 or $3 to get it sharpened by them, so it's a pretty minimal investment. And it gives me an excuse to go into the knife shop. Alright, there's a gusset. Gosh, I hope that's long enough. Oh yeah, that should be plenty long. Plenty long. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these. So my fold's actually, I said 1 inch earlier. I'm glad I did the 1.5 inches here, because so my fold, I can either come down to this, fold that far, or I can come down to that. That'll give me my 8-inch bag. I think that's what I originally intended. Yeah, so we'll go, it will be 1.5 inches fold, so I'll actually make that. Oops, you didn't write on that. Let's try you again. There we go. We can square off one of these ends here. So I'm only going to do one end because I don't know, I'm not brave enough to figure out how long that dang thing should be. I don't know, maybe I will. We'll see. So I used to have one of those fancy commercial jars for my rubber cement, my contact cement, but it was always drying out and getting funky. So I just made this one, just some silicone, punched a hole in there, put in a paintbrush. I've been using this for a while, and it doesn't seem to dry out. It seems to work really well. Kind of wish I had done that right from the get-go. So we're just gonna put some contact cement around there. Alright, those are gonna dry. I'm gonna go dig in my scrap bin for a piece of leather that I can make this part out of. So I'll be back in just a second. So this next little tool here, this is going to line out the groove for where my stitches are going to go. Later I'll come back with my pricking iron and I'll actually make the holes for the stitches, but this is just the prefab. I don't like to make the holes right now because I want to keep as much dye out of the inside of that hole as possible. It's already going to make any light colored string or thread that I use, it's going to make it a little bit darker, so I try and avoid that as much as possible. So it seems like the glue is pretty dry on these, so we'll fold these over. So this is where my challenge comes in. This is gonna come all the way around yonder. Come up this side. And in theory, that's about as long as it should need to be right there. Right there. Yeah, that'll fold nice. Alright, so there's that mark I made. I'm going to square that across. All right, so this is this is about 8 ounce veg tan. So I'm gonna punch these out. But I'm going to do this off the table because if I hit on this table, I'm afraid this whole tripod system I've got set up here is going to come crashing down. So I will be back in just a moment with some holes punched right there. Go ahead and clean up these edges. Alright, so having those edges a little bit smoother like that, it's going to help that belt slide through there when I want to wear there. So something I've been thinking about with this is there's a couple different patterns out there for this Rob Roy. One of them has the loop that extends up, and the others I've seen have them this way. I did want both. And so I've been thinking of an idea. Probably what I'm going to do is just build a loop, and it'll have a piece that goes through here, then comes around and just has like a button stud or something, and it'll fasten there. So then it'll give me that big loop that comes up. So if I want to wear it so it drops a little bit lower, that'll be an option for me. Probably, you know, it's not going to be historically accurate, but I'm not historically accurate, so that doesn't really bother me. Let's see what our distance here looks. This was that, yeah, I'm going to widen that out a little bit. So generally what I do is go the thickness of the leather that I'm going to sew. And so probably right about there is where I want to be. I think I just moved it. Let me just double check. Whoa, moved a lot. Right about there. Let's see, does that split the middle there? Pretty darn close. Alright. Why did I come up around the top? Well, I'm going to do a little bit of decorative stitching to match that EDC Sporran that I have. I'm going to do a little bit of decorative stitching coming up along here. I think I'm going to want to... Oh, I don't know. We'll see what that looks like. I'm wondering if I want to come across with some stitching there to hold that on. It ain't gonna hurt, that's for sure. Maybe I'll just do a little bar tack right in the center of that just to hold that down, then I don't have to go all the way across. Yeah, I reckon that's what I'll do. So I'll just, let's see here. That's my end. Let's come up a 1/4 inch above that. And 1/4 inch. Just do 1-inch tack. All right. I'm going to lay out my stitching later after it's dyed. Oh, I don't like that. Let's get rid of that. I'll lay out my stitch guide after a minute. So basically I think that'll lie somewhere about like that and then come over the front. I think that should be fine. Yeah, we'll see. Worst comes to worst, we chalk it up to practice, and then we modify the template and throw that thing in the drawer with all the other practice projects I've had. Kind of a bummer to waste the leather, but it. So that's basically all the bits and pieces we need. There are a couple more things we're going to have to do with this. I want to put that shamrock on, so I'll step to that next. But and then these are going to have to be dyed. I was thinking about maybe doing a brown, but I think in the end I'm just gonna go all black on this one, just so it does match that that other Sporran that I have. So let's finish up with this. This will be real quick. But basically, I want to find the center. And I don't want to make a huge hole here. I just want a light little hole. And then I'm going to make a light little hole there. Just, yep, you probably can't even pick it up on camera, but that's about all I need to see. My next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wet this a little bit. So I'm going to step off camera for a sec. I'm just going to go wet this. And what I'm going to do is transfer that shamrock pattern onto this. And then we also got to put our maker's mark. So I'll be back in just a sec. All right, now this leather, this is encased to the level that I would case tooling, right? I'm not tooling right now. I'm just putting my maker's mark. And I'm going to try it here with the daggone camera. So if it looks like an earthquake, I apologize in advance. So I'm just laying out where that, about that middle mark is. So I can lay my maker's mark right about yonder. Alright, here comes that big old earthquake. Oh, not too bad. Sorry about the shakiness. Should have done that on the floor like I did the other one, but that's us. We're Northwind Leather. So now, alright, so now I'm going to take that tracing paper. Yeah, I lost my marks. Let me remake my marks. Trying not to leave them permanent. I just want enough so I can have 2 reference points. I've got a ballpoint stylus, and so I'm just going to use this ballpoint stylus to run across this wet leather, tracing that pattern down onto the leather. It's not bad. I'm a little bit of a fraction, a little bit off on that center point I was shooting for, but I think that's pretty darn close to what I wanted. Alright, so here's another little tool that we have. This is basically a handheld version of that stitching groover that we used to mark where our stitch line was going to go previously. This one's really cool because it's freeform. You can just go wherever you want in any direction. You just kind of use it like a little pencil. So here I'm carving out the lines of this shamrock, so later we can come in with the pricking iron and lay down the stitch lines. Alright, so now we're going to do a little bit of tooling. First we're going to wet this leather, then we're going to set our edge perimeter there using the compass and come in with this little leather tool. We're just going to, it's basically like a, oh, I don't even remember what this one's called, but just a little kind of starburst thingy. Go all the way around the edge with that. Then we're going to take a cedar, which is basically the center of a flower, and put a little dot on the outside of each one. And yeah, it's just something to make it look a little bit fancier. Alright, Comes that moment when you just tell yourself to stop. Alright. Suppose I could pull the edge off of this. We'll see you on the next episode. I hope you guys enjoy what we've seen so far. Episode number 3 coming up will be assembly.